Hi, this is Rebecca at Diamond Estate. In this short video, I will explain how to sell a Rolex watch. We'll cover the simple steps that you can take so that you're confident you did it right. Let's get started on how to sell a Rolex for the best price. How do you find a good Rolex buyer? First, do a few quick Rolex searches on Google. Use popular search phrases like, how to sell a Rolex watch, where can I sell my Rolex, and the best place to sell a used Rolex. Check out the companies that are listed on the first 2 or 3 pages of your Google search. When you visit their websites, look for the following things. Are they registered with the Better Business Bureau? Just because you might see a BBB logo on the website doesn't mean that the business is registered. Click on the logo and see if it takes you to the Better Business Bureau website. If it does, what is the company's rating? For example, Diamond Estate has an A+ rating with no complaints ever filed. What about their customer reviews? Can you find positive reviews that were originally published on independent websites? Reviews from customers who sold a Rolex watch? Reviews that will help you sell a Rolex with confidence. Don't be put off if there are a couple of bad reviews. No company can ever maintain a 100% perfect review history online, but do make sure that the overwhelming majority of reviews are positive and feel authentic. For example, you'll find 5-star reviews of Diamond Estate on popular review platforms such as Yelp, Google Reviews, and Trustpilot.
Working with Carl was probably one of the most straightforward, uncomplicated transactions I've experienced. After leaving a voicemail, I received a prompt text and then a call where Carl clearly explained the process. I immediately felt confident that I was working with the right buyer to sell my Rolex. After sending clear pictures of the timepiece, Carl followed up with a phone call and quoted me a very competitive price. We agreed to the deal. I sent the timepiece fully insured through FedEx at his cost, and after he had confirmed receipt and saw the timepiece, he wired the money directly to my bank account. I highly recommend working with Carl. He's a man of his word and runs a top-notch business.
After reading many of the reviews about Diamond Estate on the internet, I decided to take the plunge and contact them about a vintage Rolex watch that belonged to my father and had been tucked away for about 40 years. They responded immediately and walked me through a very simple process to evaluate the watch and arrive at a fair price. The entire transaction was very positive, and I'm really glad I discovered this company. I would definitely recommend them and will certainly do business with them in the future if I have any other items of value to sell.
Lastly, check out who is behind the company, who owns and manages it. What is their experience? As for Diamond Estate, we are owned and operated by industry expert Carl Blackburn. In addition to being a nationally recognized estate jeweler and jewelry designer, Carl has helped hundreds of people nationwide sell Rolex watches for a high cash price. He also is a prominent buyer of limited edition timepieces from Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, and other legendary watchmakers. Choose 3 or 4 buyers that seem solid and trustworthy. Use their online contact form to request a free cash quote. This preliminary quote will be in a price range lowest to highest. The final cash offer will be made after your Rolex is inspected in person. Information to send when requesting a cash quote includes the Rolex watch model, its reference number, the age and condition of the timepiece, and whether or not you have the original Rolex box and papers. You'll also want to send several photographs of your Rolex watch to the potential buyer. At Diamond Estate, these are the types of shots that we like to see, so that we can arrive at an accurate preliminary appraisal. you should receive your free cash quote within 24 to 48 hours, unless further details are needed. Take into consideration not only the price ranges being offered, but the customer service as a whole. If the cash quotes you receive are in a similar ballpark, choose the buyer that has, so far, served you best, answered all your questions in detail, made you feel comfortable and confident. That is the buyer most likely to pay you in the higher price range if they can. In all likelihood, you will have chosen a national buyer for your final inspection and cash offer, rather than a local Rolex buyer, such as a jewelry store. The reason is that national Rolex buyers have larger resale networks, including private clients who often are on a waiting list for a particular Rolex watch. This is especially true when it comes to high in-demand Rolex sports watches, such as the Rolex Submariner, GMT-Master, Daytona Cosmograph, Sea Dweller and Explorer. Certain Rolex sport models are in such high demand right now, July 2019, that we sometimes pay thousands of dollars more than the original retail price, because we have a private client waiting. Working with a national watch buyer means that you usually will have to ship your Rolex to them to obtain a final cash offer. Most companies have a shipping process that is quick, easy, and fully insured, so you should have no concerns on that. However, if you have a Rolex watch with a resale value over $15,000, you may be able to schedule an in-person appraisal with a national watch buyer, no matter where you live in the United States. At Diamond Estate, we often fly out to meet clients who would like to sell extraordinary Rolex watches. Now, this is important. If you are selling a vintage Rolex, do not take it to get serviced before obtaining that final appraisal and cash offer. Oftentimes, the technicians will replace vintage parts with brand new ones, lowering the value of your collectible Rolex by thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. Regardless of whom you choose to sell a Rolex watch, the payment should be made immediately on acceptance of the final cash offer. Payment is usually issued by bank wire transfer, as that is the quickest and most secure method. Should you decide not to accept the final cash offer, the buyer should ship your Rolex watch back to you, fully insured and entirely free of charge. Make sure that the watch buyer has such a return policy before shipping your item. So far, we've been talking about how to sell a Rolex watch to a direct buyer. You also may have additional questions, such as, should I sell my Rolex on consignment? Or, how can I sell a Rolex at auction? We have in-depth answers to these questions and more on our website, diamondestates.com. But in a nutshell, the answer is this: selling a Rolex at auction, whether it be a traditional auction house like Sotheby's or an online auction website, involves substantial fees and wait times. Selling a Rolex watch on consignment also involves fees and potentially long waits. It's been our experience at Diamond Estate that we ordinarily can pay our clients a similar cash amount, or better, than what they would have received if they tried to sell a Rolex watch on consignment or at auction. And you can have that cash in hand right away instead of waiting for months. How much is your Rolex worth? Find out how much your Rolex watch is worth today. Call Diamond Estate at 800-956-8505 or visit us online at diamondestates.com. If you have the original Rolex box and papers, please let us know. However, they are not necessary. You can sell a Rolex watch without the box and papers for a generous cash price at Diamond Estate.